All right, it is the Sports Mashup number 68, June 15, 2022, the technical date for the release of this. It's being recorded a day before and probably uploaded just before midnight at this point, probably for number 68 on the 14th, but we're going to call it the 15th. That's fine. All right, let's start in the NBA. Head coach hiring. We talked about Mike D'Antoni being a possible option for the Hornets. They go a different direction. They go Kenny Atkinson, who is the Brooklyn Nets head coach. 118 and 190. He did inherit a full rebuild in Brooklyn, as you put here. 4-year deal for him. He's the current Warriors assistant, so I believe that's now 2 assistants on that staff getting a job.
Him and Mark Brown.
Yeah, so we'll see. Atkinson, like you said, he inherited a pretty brutal situation. They were coming out of it when he got fired.
When he came out of there and went somewhere else, and then I think this is only like his first year in Golden State.
Yeah, I can't remember where he was last year. Maybe the Clippers, something like that. But yeah, this is a solid hiring. I think it makes sense on some levels for the Hornets.
It was weird how under the radar him interviewing in this was, because how it said they both met with them last week and met with the GM and Jordan, but the only thing that was publicized was about D'Antoni.
Yeah, so the guy flying under the radar gets the job. The Nuggets traded JaMychal Green to Oklahoma City for a first-round pick. Nuggets get the 30th pick in this draft, 2 future second-round picks. They now have the 21st and the 30th pick. The Thunder get Green and a protected 2027 first-round pick, which, I mean, they have a billion first-round picks in the next decade, so they add another one there. They still have the 2nd pick, 12th pick, and 34th pick in this year's draft.
Yeah, so, I mean, you gave up 1 first-rounder this year, which you already have 3 others, and 2 future firsts for a young player and a protected first-round pick later down the road.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I know who JaMychal Green is, but good return for Denver. Congrats.
I mean, I was thinking it was a good trade for OKC.
Well,
I mean, they're in a rebuild. They just got a pretty good young player.
Let's be honest. Unless it's a clear overpayment or a trade involving a superstar, it's kind of impossible to judge NBA trades at this point. Like, you can judge the Simmons-Harden trade because of how many different big names or big pieces were involved. Like, a trade like this, it's like, OKC gets a first down the road. Who knows what that's going to be like? The Nuggets get a first now. I don't know. And OKC had the room to do that with the amount of picks they have anyway.
I just think it was good for OKC because they're in a rebuild and they got a good young guy. And then they also have 3 first-round picks where they're getting – I mean, they're at least getting at the worst out of the 3, Paolo.
Yeah.
And then the 12th and 34th pick.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you can complain. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, and the thing with the Thunder is that they have so many picks that you got to start moving some of them out. You can't draft all of those guys. At some point, it doesn't make sense.
No, because then you're drafting these guys. Because, like, if they had the 30th pick still, that 34th pick could end up on their G League team because they don't have enough roster space for them.
Yeah. And they already have a ton of young talent, and that was on display all season.
And then what? Zion on the Pelicans, he says, I do want to be here. So I mean, he's got to prove it this offseason, losing weight and getting in shape.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he'll be fine. I wouldn't be too worried about it.
No, and I think the Pelicans too. I think Brent Ingram had a finger surgery, which is probably some small.
Yeah.
But the Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins gets a multi-year extension.
Well deserved after the season that they had, no doubt.
Even in his 3 years there, he's done really good.
Yeah, they've constructed a nice roster too for him.
Then probably the guy with the best name in the league, since his first name is literally the first 6 letters of his last name, Bogdanovich, had successful surgery to repair his right patella tendon, which hampered him all year, but he played through it. Record-breaking Jordan rookie card sells for $1 million.
Seems low.
That's what I thought. And then your guy Wiggins carried the Warriors in Game 5.
Yeah, I feel like that's a tough one for Boston. You have Curry do absolutely nothing, and you lose the game by a lot. I wrote
that Curry's 3 streak also ended.
Didn't make it 3. I do think the series will go 7, but I wouldn't be stunned if the Warriors close it out in 6. I don't see any way that Boston, without an unbelievable effort and some luck, win a Game 7 in San Francisco.
And I watched a lot of Game 5, and I feel like the Celtics forced so many shots. Like they would have Tatum or Brown drive into the lane on a smaller defender, and instead of trying to go up into through contact and get a foul or something, they just kept kicking it out, and then they were taking horrible shots from outside.
Well, Game 1 has kind of been a representative of what the series is. If the Celtics aren't getting enormous efforts from at least one of their big role players, which would be Horford or Pritchard or Derek White, it's going to be hard for them because, I mean, Curry's been really good in most of the series. Wiggins has been huge on the glass, especially the last few games. Draymond's certainly seen better days. He had a pretty good Game 5. Clay's been a little bit up and down with the last couple games. He's been really good, and he's notoriously known for being like one of the best Game 6 players of all time. Like, I think he's averaging over 7 threes in like his last however many Game 6s. It dates back a little bit to the beginning of the dynasty, that he has elite numbers in Game 6s. So we're going to see. I don't think the Celtics win this series.
It's so weird watching in this series, like the sways of the game. Like the Warriors will go at 15. Warriors will go 15, and the next thing you know, Celtics are up 3. And then it goes back to 10, and then it's back to the Celtics after a couple.
It does make me miss the days of Warriors Cavs before the Warriors got Kevin Durant. So 15 and 16. Those two series
were LeBron Kyrie versus the Splash Brothers and Draymond.
Those series were incredible. I don't think the NBA has matched anything since 2016. That Game 7, Cleveland winning, beating a 73-9 Warriors team. I don't think they've matched that because, I mean, Warriors-Raptors was good because Toronto won, and it was the Warriors were decimated with injuries in that series.
My favorite was watching Dirk win his.
Yeah, that was obviously
they had a tough first series, then they swept the Lakers, and then went and beat Miami when it was LeBron, Wade, and Bosh.
I think the moral of the story is that the NBA has not reached a level of what the finals were like when it was Spurs Heat or, like you said, Mavs Heat or the Warriors Cavs series. I don't think the NBA's matched that. So, I mean, 2020 was what? Lakers Heat. I mean, that was a bubble championship. Who cares? And then last year, Bucks Suns looked like it was going to be a good series, but the Suns couldn't win one after they won the first 2. So that kind of feels like this series might end in 6, just like last year. But I'm not 100% sure. I think it'd be good to have a Game 7, but I also feel like Game 7 is going to be a blowout for whoever wins, just with the way the league has been this year. So
this series is going to come down to bench play over everything.
Yeah, and I think if Curry and Clay are on in the next game, I don't think Boston has a chance. If both of them get 25 plus, the Warriors will win, I believe.
I just think the starting lineups for both teams, the Celtics outmatch them size-wise.
Yep.
I mean, height and reach from Brown and Tatum. and Smart's bigger than Curry. And of course, Horford's bigger than Draymond. So size-wise and lengthwise, the Celtics have them. It just comes down to getting the matchups. Like when Curry's guarding Tatum, he's having a field day because Curry can't guard him.
Yep.
Yeah, the finals right now, it says 3-2 Warriors. The draft is next Thursday, June 23rd.
Yeah, we'll have some sort of, more in-depth talk about that next week for sure. We'll have a good idea of what's going to happen as well. So that'll be interesting.
Some of these sports, like in the NBA and hockey, how, more or less you can't make trades and stuff while the season's still on and everything, but yet we're in the finals of both of these sports, and you've got trades and stuff happening. I mean, and the fact that the finals was going to end, I think Sunday is Game 7 if it happens. So the draft is going to be 4 days after Game 7 if it gets there.
I think that's pretty good spacing. So yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about the draft more in depth next week. NFL talk. The Raiders agreed to a 2-year, $32 million extension with Hunter Renfrow, the wide receiver, of course. Solid deal for both sides, I say. And keep him with Derek Carr for a couple more years. So there you go.
Which, hey, I got to ask, do you have any input on what Devontae Adams says?
Well, I think there's two sides to it. I think what he said is, factually, or, anybody with a brain knows that that's not true. Saying that the talent with Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr is similar. I just don't think it is. But Carr is talented, sure. But, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's going to go down as what? Top 5 at worst quarterback of all time. And he's still a guy that people are saying, well, he's never won a Super Bowl. He literally won one in 2010. I don't know why we're forgetting about that. I know it was a long time ago. I know they should have won more, but I can't believe how many times I see in the comment section of a post about Aaron Rodgers that he hasn't won a championship when he has. But whatever, that's all right. But I just think Devontae's saying good things about his good friend.
I think that his is more coming from the heart in that because he's known Carr for way longer. Like that was his college quarterback that got him to the league and everything.
And there's no beef between Rodgers and Adams. That's absurd. And also, Rodgers and Carr are boys too. Like this is not a big thing at all. I think everybody knows the reality of where that. Like Rodgers is way better. Carr's not even on the same planet, but that's fine. Carr's a solid quarterback. I think Carr is probably underrated in some aspects. I saw a top 16 AFC quarterbacks rankings with him at like 11 or something, which is absurd. Like they had Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson ahead of Derek Carr, which is like, I think you're just doing that to make people talk about you at that point because that's egregious.
Yeah, and I agree. And you can tell for the match, like there's a brotherhood between the quarterbacks in the league. They're all going to give jabs at each other, but they all respect one another.
Yeah, no doubt. Eagles wide receiver Devon Allen, third fastest 110 times Sunday with 12.84 seconds. Pretty elite stuff.
Yeah, I have a feeling the Eagles are going to kind of use him in like a Tyreek Hill, Debo kind of role.
I would think that would certainly be the plan, no doubt. I think we've talked about him a couple times on here before, so he's fast.
You're getting a lot of these guys now that come to the league. I mean, before you had like CJ Spiller and guys who were track stars through high school, and I believe CJ Spiller, he's at Clemson. And he still ran track at Clemson while he was playing football and breaking records and stuff. But now you're getting all these track stars. You got that Cyril Grayson from LSU who's at Tampa now. You've got Devon Allen. You've got all these guys in the league that were track guys that were like, hey, I can make a lot of money playing in the NFL for a couple of years.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. speed kills, as they say. So there you go. I think that's something that people say.
Plus
Another guy.
Plus, you're still getting training while you're doing this.
Yeah, definitely. Another guy who's fast is Lamar Jackson, who were finally reported to Ravens training camp. So we'll see how their season goes. Kind of seemed like an overplayed situation. I mean, it's not what's going on in Cleveland, that's for sure. The most Browns thing ever is going on in Cleveland, but we'll talk more about that as the summer rolls along, I'm sure. Jason Garrett joins NBC Sunday Night Football. So I believe that would be Football Night in America that he'll be on, kind of replacing Drew Brees, which is hilarious because I think one of the more exciting things in the NFL season will now be people making fun of Jason Garrett on Football Night in America. That'll be good. That'll be good for everybody, no doubt. At least he's not coaching anymore. He's probably more annoying as a coach somehow, at least a head coach, but whatever.
And then with Renfro's deal, you had Cooper Kupp extended 3-year, $80 million. Makes him, I believe, he's the highest paid receiver in history.
On a per year basis, that seems right. What did Devontae get? 20.
Well, I mean, think this is an extension, so who knows what his deal.
Yeah, that's true. He's not making that much right now, but it's still, a hefty sum, and it's deserved after the season that he had and the chemistry he seems to have with Matthew Stafford. This makes a lot of sense, and with the salary cap gymnastics in the NFL and kind of how you can mess around with it, it makes a lot of sense to get it done now, just like the Aaron Donald deal.
I mean, this was straight up. This is like $26.3 million a year.
Yeah, that's a good number.
The Commanders wide receiver McLaurin to skip minicamp over his deal.
Yeah, I believe Ron Rivera said that he understands it and that they're still working on an extension. It's moving in the right direction. So I'm sure they'll get this done. I don't see why they wouldn't. It'd be ridiculous for them not to, especially given the public image of that franchise and their owner. You got to get this done.
And then out of the blue, A.J. Brown says he's the best wide receiver in Titans history.
I mean, no disrespect to A.J. Brown, but who cares? I mean, let's be honest. Nobody cares about the Titans history. Like, come on. If you're going to say, like, Patriots or Packers or Steelers, one of those franchises' history, then we'll talk about it. But Titans history, who cares? I mean, let's be honest.
But even though, like, wasn't like he was there for, like, 10 years or something and had, like, amazing stats. Like, what about Dyson or any of those guys? You're telling me you want to put yourself ahead of those guys?
I mean, it's absurd. And I don't even know why you'd say this. Like, you got traded by them, move on. Who cares? It's the Titans. Like, come on. Like, they're not an elite NFL franchise.
Yeah. My last thing in the NFL was Pro Football's cornerback impact rating on last year's corners. A minimum of 400 snaps. Surprisingly, your guy wasn't on here from Green Bay. There is a Green Bay corner on here at number 5, Rasul Douglas.
I don't think Jair played enough snaps last year for that.
Yeah, Rasul Douglas was number 5 at 85.28% impact. The Bucks had number 10, 11, Carlton Davis, 80.34, and Jamal Dean at 80.13. What do you think the top? There's 2 guys, number 1 and 3, came from the same team. What team do you think that is from? And let's just say they were a bottom of the barrel team.
How bottom of the barrel are we talking? Like
last in their division.
Oh, Jesus. Well, I had a team in mind. But
NFC.
They're not bottom of the barrel. Okay.
Might be worse this year.
Can't be them, so we'll move on to the next one. I don't know. Seattle? No. Can't be them. Who finished last in the South? Carolina? No. Atlanta? No.
That's Atlanta.
Okay, I was getting there. Who is it? AJ Terrell and
AJ Terrell is number 1 at 100% impact rating.
pretty good.
Number 3 was Casey Hayward Jr.
I forgot he was on there.
Well, though it shows a Raider symbol next to him, so I wonder if he got traded mid-season.
Could have been, yeah.
Because number 2 is DJ Reed Jr., who also has Seattle as a little bubble next to the Jets at 90.03.
Yeah.
Ramsey was 4. J.C. Jackson was 7. So this must show last year's team as the bubble because it has J.C. Jackson with the Chargers logo. So Casey Hayward was with the Raiders all last year.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to some golf. We will strictly be covering the PGA Tour on this show. We will not give you the results of the Live Golf event because why would we? Last week on tour, the RBC Canadian Open, St. George's Golf Club, Rory McIlroy wins it again, and he was dominant.
Yeah, I mean, won 1.6, shot 19 under. Like you said, back-to-back wins at this tournament.
And I don't really think there was ever a doubt for me. I thought going into Sunday he would win, no doubt. He looked confident. He's been playing really well. There's a reason that he's now the favorite at the U.S. Open this week.
Who shot?
Finau, solo second. Missed a 5-footer. Justin Rose bogeyed 18 and shot a 60 on Sunday. So if he makes the par putt, he shoots a 59. So that was another notable thing. JT in the mix as well.
Yeah, I had Sam Burns, who shot 14 under and tied for 4th.
I had Sam Burns top 10, I think, as one of my picks, or top 20. I think we picked top 20, top 40, so I think I had him top 20. So
that was one of your gimme picks.
Well, I also had Rory winning, so, two golf pickups for me.
Yeah, this weekend we have the U.S. Open, defending champion Jon Rahm at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Yeah, I'm excited for this tournament. I think this course is really, really good for the U.S. Open. As much as I love Torrey Pines, which was the site of it last year, it's not as much of a U.S. Open course to me. It's tough, obviously, but like Winged Foot and the Country Club are two places with like smaller greens. And the rough is obviously U.S. Open rough. Now, this course has graduated rough, which means, the further away from the fairway you are, the more the rough's going to be in certain areas higher, and that's great. But I think this is a really, really good setup for the U.S. Open. I think it's going to be great to watch. I have no clue who's going to win, but I can tell you right now there's 3 guys that I will tell you right now will not win this tournament. Number 1, Jon Rahm will not win this tournament, guaranteed. Number 2, Patrick Cantlay will not win this tournament, guaranteed. Number 3, Xander Schauffele will not win this tournament, guaranteed. There you go. So
why do you pick those 3?
I just those are 3 guys I can tell you right now I guarantee won't win. There's more, but those 3 right there, I just guarantee it.
And then this happened after our show last week. Before we recorded last week, we had the U.S. Open or the USGA say that the live golfers were able to play in the majors.
Yeah, it's not their problem. To them, it's the PGA Tour's problem.
And then Then it came out Thursday afternoon that the PGA Tour suspends all live golfers, the current 17 players and former members.
Yeah, I've heard so much about this. It's just like, I don't even know. I mean, it's just, I don't really have that much to add to it other than I don't have much interest in the live tour. I think it's an interesting thing going on. I wish that the players would say that they're doing it for the money, but they won't. So whatever. And I think as long as the PGA Tour keeps that core group of like Rory, JT, Jordan Spieth, Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, those types, those young, big. Well, Rory's not that young anymore, but those big time talents, big stars, like they're fine losing. I mean, Phil's old at this point. They're fine losing Patrick Reed, I guess. Nobody really likes him. Bryson, I guess, is a big loss in terms of draw and name, but for the fan such as myself, I don't really care about that.
No, he was surprised. Like, he was the last minute guy.
Yeah, Pat Perez going is a bit surprising too because
I didn't even look at like who all of them were that went, but I didn't know Pat Perez went.
Yeah, Dustin Johnson's a pretty big loss. Obviously, the thing I'm concerned about now is the Ryder Cup because these guys probably won't be able to play in the Ryder Cup either or the President's Cup, and you're losing Bryson and DJ from a team that was dominant. You can replace them, obviously. DJ was one of the best players at Whistling Straits last year, but if you can replace him, I think they can do that fine. He's getting up there in age anyway. You throw guys into the mix like Max Homa, who's been great.
Or a fan of the show, one of our favorites, Kevin Kisner. He's a match play pro.
I think he's got a chance now as well. I think there's a couple other names that won't be on the team either for the President's Cup this year and the Ryder Cup next year. Harris English has been hurt all year. He ain't coming back to it. So yeah, they'll be fine. The U.S. Ryder Cup team was really my main concern here. They'll be fine though, I think. But we'll see. So yeah, PGA versus Liv. It's going to go on for a while. We're going to see what's going to happen. It's going to be very interesting. So on to the next.
College softball. Only took 2 games. Game 1, Oklahoma won 16-1. They had 6 home runs, which I believe broke a record for most home runs in a Women's College World Series game. And then game 2, Oklahoma won 10-5. So Oklahoma won the Women's College World Series.
Doesn't seem surprising. They were pretty dominant.
Yeah, I mean, there's questions as if this was the best team in women's college softball history. I mean, if you count these 2 wins, I'm assuming that 15-3 record included their other playoff wins. So that would mean they finished the season 52-3.
That's about as dominant gets, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing with the college baseball end of it is that you have that dominant Tennessee.
I got that later.
All right, he's got it. I was keeping you on your toes. I didn't even see that until now. But anyway, that's a teaser for everybody later in the episode. Any Tennessee people listening right now, you might want to turn it off. But anyway.
Right here before we get into baseball, one of the things that the top 10 biggest underdogs to win the World Series. The Cardinals are at number 10 for which year do you think?
2011.
Yeah, they were plus 2,500, but on September 1st, they were plus 20,000.
Yeah.
Imagine putting $5 on that at September 1st.
Be a pretty good bet.
9 was the 2014 Giants at plus 2,500. 2013 Red Sox at plus 2,800. 7 was the Giants in 2010 at plus 3,300, which was at the All-Star break. 2015, the Royals at plus 3,300. The 2021 Braves at plus 4,000 at the All-Star break. The 02 Angels at plus 4,000. The 87 Twins at plus 5,000. The 2003 Marlins at plus 7,500. Number 1 was the 91 Twins at plus 8,000.
There you go. I mean, there's certain factors that go into that. All of that for sure.
My only other baseball thing I had was just seeing this, the 2010 MLB draft class and like where they are now. Number 1, you had Bryce Harper picked number 1 overall. Number 3 overall was Manny Machado. 13th overall was Chris Sale. 23rd overall was Yelich. 38th overall was Syndergaard. 44th overall was Castellanos. Round 3, pick 104 was JT Realmuto. Round 9, pick 269 was Whit Merrifield. And then we're talking low here. Round 9, pick 272 was when the Mets took DeGrom. And last one was round 11, pick 352, Jock Peterson.
I saw this post and I did a ranking of those players as of right now.
And then there's other notable names was Yamani Grindal, Robbie Ray, Kevin Kiermaier, Taijuan Walker, and Russell Wilson.
So those 10 players I ranked, and here's how their careers have gone. Number 1, Bryce Harper, 2 MVPs. Number 2, Jacob deGrom, 2 Cy Youngs.
Who was out of the 10, the 9th pick out of that. I mean, all the way in the 9th round.
Yeah. Number 3, Manny Machado, dominant third baseman and shortstop. Number 4, Christian Yelich, MVP. Number 5, Chris Sale, had some really, really good seasons. Hasn't been great since, but what can you do? Number 6, JT Realmuto. 5 and 6 were tough for me. Realmuto has been more dependable the last few years, but one of the best catchers in the game. Number 7, Whit Merrifield, very dependable utility type, kind of. I mean, he plays second base, but he can play the outfield and all that stuff. Number 8, Nick Castellanos, all hitting, no defense. There you go. Number 9, Noah Syndergaard, was very good for a time. Has struggled to stay healthy since, still good. Number 10, Jock Peterson, just, solid power hitter. It's a good draft, though, no doubt. All right, let's go over some new stuff.
What Merrifield is your 10?
He's number 7. 7, Merrifield, 8, Castellanos, 9, Syndergaard, 10, Peterson. All right. Walker Buehler out 6 to 8 weeks with an elbow strain for the Dodgers. Bone spurs removed. Admits rehab will be tricky, so that's not great for the Dodgers, but usually with the organizational depth that they have, they can get through it just fine.
Yeah, I mean, they have, what's his first name? Anderson, who's 7-0 his last start. I believe that one of their relievers got the win. He's pitching tomorrow. I mean, every time it's like they lose a big pitcher, and then they're like, oh, look, here's another one.
Yep, always happens. Red Sox pitcher Nathan Eovaldi put on the injured list due to back injury. Also, Chris Sale, rib injury. He's okay to return as a reliever, which who knows how that'll go. They're in a tough division, though, behind 3 pretty good teams, so we'll see. The Red Hot Braves, unfortunate news, losing Ozzie Albies, fractured his left foot. 60-day IL. The Braves won 13 in a row right now, so they've been good. And then Padres.
I liked when the article they only listed him as a second baseman. I was like, he's a second baseman and a shortstop, and predominantly he plays shortstop. And they make Dansby Swanson play second, and they only switch. I believe they switch on left-handed hitters. They make Albies play second base. So basically, he's their strong side fielder.
There you go. Fernando Tatis Jr., the Padres still can't swing a bat, so not ideal. He had that wrist injury, hasn't played this season. Padres have been fine without him, but they need him back at some point, no doubt. Yeah,
and then I believe this was Sunday. You had the Angels, Jared Walsh hits for the cycle versus the Mets. Trout also hit 2 home runs in his return. Strasburg back on IL after only 1 start. So that didn't take very long for him to get right back out of there.
Did he actually even start? I thought he didn't even start. I thought they scratched him before he could ever start.
I think he started.
Oh, either way, I mean, same stuff with him.
And then there was another pitcher either the same day or the day after who got pulled after like 13 pitches.
Well, hopefully this doesn't happen with Jack Flaherty.
which is my next thing. The Cardinals pitcher Jack Flaherty to make season debut tonight against the Pirates. He is on his 60 pitch count, though.
Yeah, so not expecting much. Maybe give you 4 or 5 innings.
But it does help that with the next thing we have, the Cards pitcher Michaelis lost a no-hitter with 2 outs in the 9th tonight.
Same old BS with the Cardinals pitching. Michael Walker had the same thing in 2013 against the Nationals, I believe. I had a feeling deep down that this wouldn't happen. Too good to be true. Still, won the game. And the best part about this is that he threw 129 pitches and saved the Cardinals bullpen because they're going to be needed tomorrow with Flaherty.
Yeah, that's what I was getting with his pitch count limited for tomorrow. Michael has helped out with only making I forgot who closed the game.
God, who the hell came
But he didn't have to throw very many pitches.
Packy Naughton came in and threw like 5 pitches or whatever.
And he gave up a run, but he walked him, or there was an error.
Error in left field, got to second base.
And then there was a fielder's choice.
Yeah, and then probably a sac fly or something, whatever. Yeah, something like that. It's all right. It's all above board. But either way, Michaelis has returned to the form of a few years ago when he's healthy, which is great because they've needed that with Flaherty being gone for this long. And then obviously Jordan Hicks hasn't started in a while. Hudson's been solid as well.
And Matz is still on the IL, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's pretty far behind on his rehab, so who knows when he'll be back. But, yeah, big time.
Flaherty can get back, this will really help their rotation.
Yeah, because they've been overusing the bullpen. They've had situations where they're bringing in McFarland or Verhagen or Whitgren, who are all horrible in like 2-run situations where it's like you're pretty much giving up on the game at that point. So they got to stop doing that because they really only have 3 truly reliable relievers, Gallegos, Helsley, and Cabrera. So, yeah, this will be big to get Flaherty back.
Players of the week.
I'm going to go with Red starting pitcher Hunter Green, 12 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 15 strikeouts. Just has really good stuff. Seems like he's starting to put it together. He mowed the Cardinals down in that game that they won on the walk-off. So
every time I look into the player week and I look at pitchers, they only have 1 game. And I'm like, do I really want a player of the week just to be 1 game that could have been, like the day we recorded?
Yeah, it's hard to find pitchers, but I was able to successfully do so here.
I went with the Twins second baseman, Luis. Arraez?
I have no idea. Yeah,
I'm just going with Arraez. 10 for 24, 5 runs, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 2 walks.
So that means that, maybe the Twins will win some baseball games. I mean, they're actually not that bad, are they? I always have the perception of the Twins as like the Yankees killing them every time. And the fact that they're 0-18 their last 18 playoff games.
They are favored to win later tonight.
36-27, they're pretty good. That's kind of surprising. Whatever. All right, on to the NHL. Jeremy Lauzon, former Bruins defenseman, then went to Seattle. 25 years old, somehow gets a 4-year deal, $8 million from the Predators. Just a horrendous deal. I mean, he's not good. He was terrible for Seattle.
This is who Seattle took in the expansion draft, right?
Yeah, terrible for Nashville, too. This makes no sense, but whatever. David Poyle, who's been the GM the entire time the Preds have existed, is like 1 billion years old now, and maybe he's losing it a little bit with this deal. 4 years for this guy's unbelievable.
Mr. Jacobs is not the youngest owner either up there in Boston.
Yeah, and he fired Bruce Cassidy, and Bruce Cassidy lands on his feet, getting the Vegas Golden Knights job. And as we're recording, it sure sounds like John Tortorella is going to be the next head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, which seems like a horrible fit to me. I think Trotz is a pretty good coach. Not Trotz, Torts, excuse me. I think Torts is a pretty good coach, but Philly doesn't seem like a great fit for him. But we'll see. It'll probably be comedy.
Have you heard anything on prospects on who they're going to fill Boston with?
I think Boston seems like a job that's going to be somebody that a lot of people don't know, like maybe an assistant from another team, or an assistant from within. I could see them getting the Blues back for stuff that have happened over the last few years, maybe getting Jim Montgomery, who was the Dallas Stars head coach, then had a whole personal issue, got let go by Dallas, has been with the Blues for a couple of years now. I think he's really, really good at his job. So I think he would be a great hire for them because he did well in Dallas. They got to the second round in 19, got to Game 7 and lost. And I think Jim Montgomery would be probably one of the better choices for Boston. I know that they're interested in him, so I could see that happening. Or go from within. Maybe Mark Savard is a guy they hire. He was the Blues power play coach a couple of years ago. Obviously, ties to Boston as well.
Yeah, so. I mean, ended his career there. I mean, kind of had to after all this concussions and everything. And
maybe Claude Julien if they really want to get nuts, right?
We talked about that last week.
Yeah, maybe. Braden Point for the Tampa Bay Lightning has a chance to play Game 1 against the Avalanche. Hasn't played since Game 7 against the Leafs in round 1 where he got hurt. So the fact that they've been able to beat Florida in 4 and beat New York in 6 without, I think you can make the argument Point's been one of their 3 best, I'll say one of their 4 best players in this run over the last 3 years. Because obviously, Kucherov's numbers are insane, Vasilevsky and Hedman. And Stamkos has been really good this year, but getting Point back would be big time because this is a huge challenge. Colorado is 12-2 for a reason. I think they've outplayed their opponent 13 to 14 games they played.
I mean, there was that big thing too. It blew up on Twitter. It was one of their trips to New York. They had Brandon Point's bag packed, and it was just an image of the bag with his number on it, and everyone was so excited thinking he was going to play.
Yeah, it's impressive that they won that series without him playing at all because he's a huge piece for them. So if he can get back, that'll be big. I think he will be back, to be honest. I would be surprised if he doesn't play.
And then the Sabres acquired goalie Ben Bishop in a trade with the Stars. The Sabres, this is basically to help their cap.
Yeah, he's a retired player pretty much.
They take on the last year of his contract for $5 million.
And it's hard to reach the salary cap floor, which they need to do, reach the minimum number of the salary cap to be able to operate next season and play. So this is the type of contract you got to take on. Arizona kind of did the same thing last year, even though they played some of the guys that they acquired, whether it was Jay Beagle or Louis Eriksson. So this makes sense for Buffalo, and it makes sense for Dallas to get that off the books because he's not going to play again. And he had a great career. And, obviously the run in 2019, he was great. 2020, they make it to the Cup Final. He doesn't play, but he had a really, really good career.
Speaking of Louis Eriksson, just he came in a league with such buzz. Did he start in Dallas?
Yeah, he went the Dallas, Boston, Vancouver route pretty much.
But I think he got hurt his last year in Dallas or something, and then got hurt like 2 years later in Boston, and then was never the same.
Had a lot of promise, definitely. One of those guys you thought would be a star for years, but kind of fell apart. But he's still kicking, I think. So there you go.
But yeah, I mean, you had the Lightning take down the Rangers in Game 6. We already knew Colorado swept Edmonton. So you have the Stanley Cup Final set, Colorado versus Tampa. It starts tonight.
We'll make our pick for Game 1 later. My official pick for the series is Colorado in 6. Want that on the record. You probably shouldn't take my word for it, though, because I've picked against Tampa every round, and I have failed. So
my one picture I had for the Lightning have won 11 consecutive playoff series. 2020 first round they won 4-1 over Columbus. Second round 4-1 over Boston. 2020 4-2 over the Islanders. 2020 they won 4-2 over the Stars. 2021 first round 4-2 over the Panthers. Second round 4-1 over Carolina. Third round 4-3 over the Islanders. And then won 4-1 over Montreal. And then this year, 4-3 over the team who can't win a playoff series also known as the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Then they second round 4-0 over Carolina, or not Carolina, over Florida, and then 4-2 over the Rangers.
And Vasilevsky's numbers in elimination games remain absurd. I think he's got in the last 11 elimination games or something, he's got like 7 shutouts, and he's
Well,
allowed
and
like
what was
4
this?
goals.
What was this? Game 6 was 2-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they've had 2 scares in this entire run. It was this year against Toronto in round 1. They kind of got outplayed in game 7. They still won. And then last year, 1-0 game 7 win over the Islanders in the conference finals. So those have really been the 2 scares. Other than that, they've kind of cruised in a lot of ways. So yeah, Colorado in 6 for me, though. NCAA baseball.
Before we get there, one other thing, Vitaly Klitschko, former boxing champion, Hall of Famer, mayor of Kiev, to receive the Arthur Ashe Courage Award at the ESPYs.
Congrats to him. I think that's very well deserved, considering everything that's happened this year.
Yeah. And here you have the Men's College World Series. Bracket 1, number 5, Texas A&M, number 9, Texas, Oklahoma, and Notre Dame, who knocked off the number 1 team in the nation, Tennessee, just a couple days after, I don't remember who Tennessee played. They came back and had a big top of the 9th. Had a guy hit a double who rounded first, was flipping off the outfield.
Yeah, they weren't very well liked.
But what I don't understand in this, if you're the home team in any of these games, I think it was even during the College World Series playoffs, if you were the home team, you weren't allowed to have walk-up music. So a lot of people were complaining, like, what's the point of getting home field advantage then if you can't even have your walk-up song to the batter's box?
Weird. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I'm rolling with the Rebels, though, by the way. So
yeah, bracket number 2 is number 2 Stanford, number 14 Auburn, Arkansas, and Ole Miss.
Ole Miss all day.
I don't know do you know how they do this? Does every team play everybody in a series, or how does the bracket in this work?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think Ole Miss is going to win. I can research how it works, though. I've always kind of watched it casually, but I never really paid that much attention to how it works. Apparently, it's 11 days, so there's got to be a lot going on. Also,
there's 8 teams.
Mississippi State, last year's champion, didn't even make it to the SEC tournament. There's 12 out of 14 teams in the SEC that go to the SEC tournament. Mississippi State, who won it all last year, didn't go. So there you go. Let's see. It looks like Texas A&M plays Oklahoma. Then Texas plays Notre Dame. Stanford plays Arkansas. Auburn plays Ole Miss. And then I guess the losers of those games play each other. It's very confusing. It pretty much comes down to the winner of bracket 1 and the winner of bracket 2 play each other in the national championship. So you can lose a game and still have a chance to get there.
The women's college series is in Oklahoma or Omaha, right?
I think so.
Where's the men's College World Series played at?
I think it's in Omaha. The Women's College World Series is in Oklahoma City, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. All right, we'll see. I'm taking Ole Miss, though. We'll see. We won't know a couple episodes from now until we know.
11 days, but we'll know it.
27th is when the final game is.
But next week we'll know probably.
Yeah,
we'll know half of it.
Roughly, yes. All right, let's do the picks. Last week for me, 6-3, 3-2 in Major League Baseball, 0-1 in the NBA, 1-0 in the NHL, 2 for 6 in golf, 6-3 overall.
I was 6-2. 0-1 in the NBA, 1-0 in hockey, 4-1 in baseball, and then I hit John Huh, finished top 40, tied for 25th, shot 5 under.
Yeah,
So
Sam Ryder missed the cut. So
I'm now 447 and 346, so I'm 101 over.
I'm 432 and 345 apparently. So I don't know how accurate that is, but I'm rolling with it. All right, let's do everything and then do the golf at the end this time. Major League Baseball, 5 picks Wednesday.
I got the Twins minus 135 over the Mariners, the Brewers minus 125 over the Mets, Cardinals minus 165 over the Pirates, the Guardians minus 115 over the Rockies, and the Dodgers minus 195 over the Angels.
We're pretty similar here. I'm taking the Blue Jays minus 320 over the Orioles, the Cardinals minus 165 over the Pirates, the Brewers minus 125 with Corbin Burns in the mound, by the way, at the Mets, Guardians minus 115 at the Rockies, and Angels plus 165 at the Dodgers.
Going against the Dodgers.
Reed Detmer's on the mound. I'm going to go with the Angels there all day, every day. I don't even care if I lose.
I saw it was him pitching, but then it was also Anderson, who's 7-0, pitching for the Dodgers. So
doesn't faze me. NBA Finals Game 6.
But before we did that, I almost told you not to pick the Cardinals because every time you've done it in the last 3 weeks, they've lost when you picked them. So I almost told you not to pick that game.
The first thought I had when I picked it was they're going to lose. But
so I'm like, I'm going to pick this. Hopefully Ethan doesn't so they can win.
Maybe I should have picked the Pirates.
No, you just need to avoid that game.
Not many games. Some ugly ones I don't even want to look at. But whatever. NBA Finals Game 6.
I have the Celtics -4 over the Warriors.
Me too. Yeah.
Last week, I even said that I wanted to take the Celtics, and I didn't. And then they came out hot in the second half.
Yep, I'm taking them. Easy pick. Celtics -4. Stanley Cup Final Game 1.
I wrote that I'd taken Colorado -155 over Lightning, but Lightning, they haven't had much time off from between the Rangers series, so I'm wondering how sluggish the Avalanche come out.
Yeah, I think the Lightning have started most series pretty slow, though, so that's my concern. That's why I'm taking the Avalanche -155. They started slow against New York. They started slow against Toronto, and I don't think they'll be able to rebound from starting slow against this Colorado team, but I'm taking the Avs -155 to win Game 1. Let's go to the U.S. Open, the Country Club, Brookline, Mass. Who are your picks?
Well, when I was making my picks, when you were saying the people who weren't winning, I was sitting there looking at my list, and you literally said 2 of your 3 guys are on my list.
Hate to say it.
Only one's to win, though. So,
all right.
My win, 3 picks to win: John Rahm +1,200, Jordan Spieth +2,800, Colin Morikawa at +3,000. Who do you got for your 3 winners?
I got Rory +1,000. I got Spieth +2,000. I got Will Zalatoris, who's been a very good performer at majors, +3,000. He's going to win one eventually.
You had Spieth at 2,000?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you could change that to 2,800. Better your odds.
That's fair. It's a fair play.
Top 5, I have Matthew Fitzpatrick at +600, which I believe I had him last week to win.
He played well at the PGA.
Yeah, I had him last week. He shot 600, then even, then 3 under, finished tied for 10th. So he's been playing pretty consistent.
I'm taking a guy who's been everything but consistent in the last 2 months, and that's Colin Morikawa +600 to finish top 5.
I thought you were going to say Hideki Matsuyama because he's definitely not been consistent.
That's true.
My top 10, Sam Burns at +330.
I will take Brooks Koepka +350, who hasn't really done anything this season, but he's going to show up for a major, and this will be the one probably.
And And then top 20, I have, here's my second one that you said, Patrick Cantlay,
He can finish top 20.
minus 110. I don't have the
No.
best odds, but
The last major Cantlay was an absolute disaster. I think he shot maybe 11 over or something and missed the cut. He was a disaster at Southern Hills. So we'll see if he can rebound from that. How can I not pick Max Homa top 20 plus 160? I mean, just great guy, friend of the program, soon to be dad, probably the best player in the earth right now if I had to choose one. Max Homa plus 160 top 20. That's an easy pick. We got to go there. I got to go with our guy. So I'll take Max all day. He's probably going to win, if we're being honest, but I'll take him top 20 plus 160. So that's going to be an exciting tournament, the U.S. Open, and we'll talk about it next week for a nice episode, number 69. So we'll be back.
Shout out. My brother's birthday's tomorrow, the 16th.
Big shout out there. Yes, no doubt. And we'll see you next time for episode number 69, a nice version of the Sports Mashup.
Deuce.